Today we're going to be making a candidate presentation to a client, submitting a candidate to a job, a client on an active job on Bullhorn. So what we're going to do here is I parsed Robert Newbert today and I interviewed him and I wrote up a presentation and I'm ready to send his resume and my write-up to the client for their consideration. So what we start by doing is we got to find, when we do a client submission, you work from the job record on Bullhorn and you submit from the job record. So here's my job list in Bullhorn. What I'm working here is Kevin's Worldwide. It's this job 492, this one right here. So I'm gonna move over here and I'm gonna hit the link to jobs. This number 102 here opens up 102 candidates that are linked to this job. And from here, I gotta find Robert Newbert Jr. So I'm going to start by letting it populate. I'm going to do a little filter search on the candidate, and I'm going to put in his last name, N-E-U-B-E-R-T, and it's going to think for a minute, and it's going to find Robert Newbert, which is right behind this screen here. So you just click away from there to make sure that's the person, and in fact it is. Then you're going to hit the check mark. Then when you hit that check mark, you notice up here you get two new boxes. One of them says move and one says one selected. So you want to choose the move one. And here under move is client submission. So in client submission, nothing really needs to be done here other than at the bottom, you have to select the appropriate resume. So obviously you want to make sure you've got the right resume parsed and that resume has the correct type in it, because you don't want to accidentally send a 10-year-old resume if you've got a new one, and you better have a new one rather than sending a 10-year-old resume on a submission. So you uncheck old resume and you keep that one checked. Nothing else needs to be filled out. You simply choose compose email. And you will notice the only one of the two only times you will ever write an email in Bullhorn to be sent out, as opposed to writing it in your own email client or in Gmail like most of us do, is when you're doing a client submission, and the other one is when you're doing a mass email to a bunch of candidates or a bunch of people. Both of those are done in Bullhorn. So we're doing the one of the client submission, obviously. I know that I have, in my clients, I have two people that want to see this note, so I'll add in Kevin's name as well. When the submission goes out from Bullhorn, Bullhorn treats it like you're BCCing both people. So Sally will think it's only going to her, and Kevin will think it's only going to him. But in my first email to them, my first submission of them to them for this role, since they're a new client, I let them know, hey, when I do a client submission to you, it looks like you'll think you only got it yourself, but in fact, we got both. So that is filled out there. It's going to BCC them both essentially. And then you can go down to the subject line. I tend to use a specific subject line in order to send all of my submissions, because I use it so I can find my submissions easier. In this case, I do candidate submission : job title - candidate's name. So there's that, and I've already pre-written this, so it's easy. Here's my my template for my email, and I'm going to copy it from my other screen here. I wrote it over in Word on the other side. So now I copy that, I'm going to paste this directly into my email. So there it is, paste it in, and as you can see, Bullhorn email is crappy because it seems to like to all of a sudden make a different font for certain things. Like this last note here is a weird font, and there's nothing to do about that other than simply type it over. So just humor Bullhorn. Please let me know, Sally and Kevin, if I can set you up with an interview with Rob, period. I'm going to let that be, and I'm just going to delete that. And now I've got the correct format. I always check my formats whenever something's going out on Bullhorn. Always check this, because Bullhorn is crappy when it comes to comes to format. So that's what it looks like. So that should be right. Once I'm happy with that, I've got the two fields, I've got the subject line, I've got my submission. What I do below is I change the priority to high. When you do that, it causes you to record an action. Doesn't matter what you choose. I've always just chosen email, so I recommend that. job references here, candidate references here, and so as long as this is populated, the system will know who you're sending to what, and then with your proofread of your note to make sure you don't have any typos and everything you want to say is said, you then send, and you send. Once you send, you will be working with Gmail since you work with Dynexus Recruiting. Gmail will have you, let's bring up Gmail here. Gmail will have, when you submit, I create a rule when I set you up in Gmail in the first place, and that rule will cause any submissions that you make are going to be in sent-client submissions. So you can see in my sent-client submissions, it is chock full of candidate submissions that I send. So that's how that works. And then finally, now that you've made the submission, what I like to do, and I recommend it to anybody else, is there's a little button here called tasks. I keep a task for every job I have open, every position I'm working on. So I create tasks by the client business name, and then when I hit the edit on this one, in this case Kevin's Worldwide, this is the people that work for the company. They're my client contacts, and then after that I have each candidate that I submit, I have a space for them here. I make a running tab of them. For instance, Jeremy Hodge, I submitted him on the 10th. I got an interview scheduled that very day. That's going to happen on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. I just accidentally didn't take this guy out. No, I shouldn't take him out yet. So there's Ed Madden. I submitted him. Actually, the recruiter before me submitted him, but you can see I'm tracking it. So in this case, we got Alan Casper also submitted on Friday. So now today I'm going to add in Robert Newbert, and then I put today's date, which is 5/13, and then I put client submitted. Then I let it be. Then I hit the back arrow. That is recorded. So you can see I'm doing it for all of my jobs. This is an amazingly helpful tool to help you keep in touch with exactly what's going on with each of your jobs at a touch of the button. And I just update this every time I have a new submission, or every time I set up an interview, or every time I get rid of someone from the job. So that's how you do a client submission.